I got Dan Lanning audio.
Oh, what's old Daniel up to?
Well, you should know this. It's springtime.
Ah, old spring ball.
Let's find more sun.
You know what? I'm going to cook on your grill.
They had spring practice number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a couple minutes of what Dan Lanning had to say. Would you like to hear it?
Let's hear it.
I don't think you would like to hear it.
I would want to. I would like to.
You do know that?
I do. I do know that.
Well, he talks in here about spring games, which are kind of going away.
In some places.
Around the country.
USC booted theirs. Texas booted theirs. I think Nebraska shut it down.
Yeah. But he loves spring games.
Yeah.
Here's what he said.
I think I've said it before. I've been around a lot of day ones that weren't great. But our guys did a good job there. Playing with great energy and enthusiasm, some early mistakes, but we've also had a lot of time to prep for practice 1. So it's going to be about how we can learn and move forward from here. Going to open it up.
Will you be playing actual football in the spring game, and why or why not will you be doing that when the trend is to not do that?
Yeah, I think it's the best way for us to get better. We're absolutely going to have a spring game, play football in the spring game. You just mentioned new faces. I think that's a great opportunity to create, Autzon's one of those places. We have a spring game. It's a game day environment. Creating that environment for those players, the competition that exists in that, and the just our fans, what they bring to that, I think is a huge piece. So for me, it's the right way to cap off the spring, and as long as I'm here, we'll be doing spring games.
Second row on the left, there. Quarterback's a position you could have gone poorly, you didn't. Can you kind of speak to what you liked with the returners and then just broadly this group and the competition for spring?
Yeah, I love the group that we got. We got a bunch of cerebral guys, talented guys, some guys that bring different skill sets, in that room. It'll absolutely be a competition. It's competition at every single position on the field for us. And, competition is what makes everybody better. So excited to see those guys grow, but they've done a good job. We've added some wrinkles this offseason that are a little bit different, and they've done a good job absorbing that and executing it.
The practice fields obviously look a little bit different now. You guys were in Autzen today. Is that going to be the plan this spring? Are you going to be in the Mo at all? Is it going to be all at Autzen? Just curious the plan.
Yeah, the great benefit is we still have 2 fields that we can use, to our disposal. And I'll say this, the opportunity for growth as a program, it means continuing to invest in the program. And you look out in our backyard right now, there's a lot of surgery going on in those fields with the opportunities that are coming with, new buildings, new practice fields. So that's a challenge that we certainly welcome, but yeah, we still have access to the Mo, still have the opportunity to play in Autzen. So a lot of fields that we can use.
Yeah, all right. So a couple things there, but main thing, the spring game, he's all about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's one of those guys that does seem a little bit old school in competition, and they do run an actual more of a game than most. A lot of times it becomes more of a glorified scrimmage.
Is it really a game day environment down there?
I don't know. I mean, they look on the West Coast, it's the closest thing you're going to get. I mean, not many people have, even when they attempt it.
The last few years they've been getting around 20,000 people, which dwarfs any other previous Pac-12 schools.
It's not game day, but it's enough, and you can go through kind of the motions of what you would do to get ready for a game, because there's new faces, although not nearly as many. I think there's 3 or 4 projected starters on the offense that are transfers and 2 or 3 on defense. So it's not like last year where you had an entirely new group. But like when you got 3 new faces on your O-line that are coming in, I think there's an element maybe you want to have them play at Autzen for the first time, in a game-like environment. And he just doesn't really, I mean, the idea of people poaching players, because that seems to be the conventional wisdom right now for teams that are canceling it. They don't want other schools to see their backups in game action. And Lanning doesn't appear to be really afraid of competition.
Oregon had 40,000 at their spring game last year.
Yeah, 40? Yeah.
40 is pretty damn good.
And they did a concert. Matt Kearney came out and did a concert for it. They do the big surplus sale.
And now they do a baseball game with it. They kind of make it an all Oregon athletics
and they do a
fair.
big recruiting trip for that. So I guess they've made it a big environment.
What has changed about, well, I guess, okay, I answered my own question before I even asked it, but the idea of people poaching players just because we've always had spring games.
Yeah.
And so you're always showcasing your players.
Yeah, but it's different.
But now they can jump into the portal in the fall.
The portal. There's a portal that opens right after spring.
Oh, so, right after. Okay, yeah. Not the fall.
So the idea is like let's say I'm a sophomore receiver and I have a nice little spring, but I'm playing behind 3 NFL guys, right? And I'm like, well, God, I'm going to be the 4th or 5th guy. But all of a sudden I look at spring and some other coach looks at that on the Big Ten Network and says, hey, man, that kid's pretty good.
Or I even think about like a quarterback who's not going to be a starter for that team, and someone else goes, you know what? We've got some money. We could bring him in. He could compete for our job.
Yeah, so I think that tends to be the wisdom, because most people now aren't, like when I went to BYU, we actually did a split squad like scrimmage. Offense, we didn't do special teams, but it was offense, defense, and it was a full game. Most people now aren't doing that. It's more of a controlled environment, and they want some situational football. So what kind of advantage you get versus the idea of tipping hand and coming up with depth charts. Like if you get a kid that realizes that he's not going to be the starter or he gets beat out, is that kid looking somewhere else? Are other schools looking to poach? I see where schools are coming from when it comes to canceling this. But if you're a school like Oregon, Ohio State, maybe, although Texas canceled, I would think that that's less, that doesn't scare you quite as much, but it's probably just an individual coach thing.
Yeah, all right. Well, good on him, Dr. Lanning.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Lanning does not seem to be a guy that is concerned about much of this kind of, I don't know what you would say, just a lot of the new world problems that coaches complain about. He doesn't seem like the type, like with the seeding thing, right? And having to play Ohio State. He's the one guy, and God bless him for this, he's the one guy associated with that program that I never heard once say anything about having to play Ohio State. He was like, no, absolutely, let's go.
Well, Altman with all the travel.
Yeah.
He didn't complain either.
No.
Look at the Ducks.
I appreciate it. It's one of my favorite parts about Coach
I think
Lanning.
their fans do too. It's refreshing to not have someone bitching all the time.
Yeah.
When is the spring game? Do we know?
426, 427, something like that.
Something
It's
like
like the last Saturday of April.
You know, remember, spring practice it's not even linear anymore. It used to be you just, you went, now it's like you play you have a couple days and you take a couple days off, and then there's a spring break in the middle of it. And, it's just, the spring ball in general is evolving and changing into something else.
So he mentioned the quarterback situation.
Yeah, never went and got one.
Yeah, they didn't, did they?
No.
So they got Dante Moore, Novosad. Who else is in there?
They got a couple of the younger guys that are in there too.
We got Akili Smith Jr.
Oh, that's right.
He'll be a freshman. And
Luke
then who's the other
Moga
one?
is another guy.
Is it Mago?
Luke Moga.
Yeah, Luke Moga. He's a redshirt freshman. He was there. And then again, the new kids
So
coming
there's
in. But
4 of them?
there's 3 right now, and then I believe Akili Smith will be there.
He's already there. He started practicing with him for Rose Bowl, so he's there. And then I think there'll be like a 5th, probably local kid, like a Sheldon or something like that.
But everyone seems to the whispers down there is that they are very, very high on Dante Moore, and that it may be one of the reasons they didn't go to the portal. And to be honest with you, when you look around the quarterback portal, it was not a strong class. I think had there been a big quarterback that was out there, I think Oregon may have dipped their toe in the water. But when you look around the transfer quarterbacks, like Carson Beck ended up going to Miami, but there just wasn't the movement at the quarterback position that we have seen the last couple of years.
Well, Ewers, but he went pro.
But
all right.
Mekhi Hughes is the running back from Tulane, and buckle up. That will be the next great Oregon running back. And they got the 2 best tackles in the portal. The one, Isaiah World from Nevada, and the other kid from Texas State. So really 2 big areas where they were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? They were filled with the best portal kids that you could go get.
Yeah, the other one that's drawn rave reviews is the safety they got from Purdue, the Dylan Thieneman. He graded out as one of the very best defensive backs in all of college football last year, and they're already saying good things about him.
And Bear Alexander will be along the defensive front to help replace, because you lose Birch, Caldwell, and Harmon. Look, I think that there's still some guys there, but if I had to look at one position I say should take a step backwards, that's a lot of production to replace. That was a very, very good defensive line.